The point is that we know this intuitively, all of us, we know it. And somehow, we're looking the other way, pretending it's not happening. Okay. Who would like to start us off? Yana?
Oh, it's good to be with you all this morning. A couple of weeks ago in Satsang, the idea came up briefly of private thoughts, and you'd put a pin in it that maybe we could discuss it at another time. So I'd like to come back to that.
What do you think? What's your observation about your experience, your direct experience of privacy, of mind?
My direct experience in this body-mind is that I can only hear the thoughts that seem to belong to this body-mind. I have had experience with other people where there seems to be a connection of mind. I'll be thinking something and then the other person will bring that up. Not inferable contextually to the situation, just seemingly random thought picked up by the other person and then brought up in conversation. I do seem to have the ability to read cues and body language and the body's display of emotion and the subtle vibration that people give off of a general mood or disposition, but there are no specific words that emanate from others that I'm able to pick up.
And so your experience largely is personal, that you're aware of your own mind space, but there is
Yes.
awareness of a different layers of communication, physical, you even referenced energetic, if I can use that word. So there are different layers. Why do you think it's important to know? Or important at all, to know or to not know? What would be the implication of shared mind, not private? Now, this question is for everybody. If somebody wants to jump in, we don't need to put the whole thing on Yana's shoulders.
That we affect each other by more than just our outward action and spoken word.
Yeah. In a way, we already know this, don't we? Somebody shows up in a room. You know, you're in a room, you're in a gathering with people, and it has a certain quality to it. There's a certain energy in it. Feels a certain way. Somebody new comes in, maybe they're angry. You feel it instantly, don't you? That without them having them having spoken a word, no slamming of doors, you just know, right? It's important because it's a call to reclaim our own peace of mind. It's the greatest generosity, the greatest service to humanity. The sage would say to the entire cosmos. Swami Satchidananda would say, we are babysitters to the entire universe. He would say, you don't realize how powerful you are. So, it points to the reason why this is the most important thing. And it's funny too, isn't it? I mean, we all have the experience of a shared experience. Somebody's bad mood affects us all, or somebody's good mood can inspire us all. There's this one great YouTube video, I'm sure there are plenty, on the New York subway. And 2 or 3 people just go in and start laughing. Have you seen this? It's really marvelous. 2 or 3 people go in and just start laughing as a construct, fabricated. But soon enough, it turns into real laughter, and within 5 minutes, the entire subway car is buckled over laughing, tears on faces. So how is it that, because we know it's a shared experience. How is it that we still think that there's anything called privacy? I mean, in a way, it's still pretty rare, I think, to be able to read somebody's mind actually, or to communicate telepathically, actually, literally, without speech. But I doubt there are many people who doubt this anymore. That's just shared thought. There are the other senses as well. Swami Satchidananda claimed that he could stroll in his astral body through the homes of his disciples and devotees, just to check in on them. And there are reports of him revealing himself in this way. There are reports of people perceiving his presence, non-physical, of course, but also physical, and he had no recollection of it. But he knew it was true. Even I myself one time was I was actually on a Zoom call some years ago, and we went off into little groups, and I was in a group, and this one woman, all of a sudden I smelled chicken. And I asked her what she was cooking, and she said chicken. Now, don't we all have experiences like this? I know people who have conversations with animals and plants. Have you actually really contemplated what it means when you say synchronicity? Because when you say synchronicity, you mean not coincidence, right? So what does it mean then? Not coincidental. The clearer the mind is, the more this is just how it is. The greatest service that any of us can do for humanity, for Earth and the environment, for peace, is to put an end to your own suffering. Put an end. That's not quite right. Surrender. To have the direct experience of peace of mind. It's why what we're doing here matters most. And oddly, most of the world cares not for it. How many people have had the experience going off on a spiritual retreat? And friends would say, must be nice, I have to work. I actually saw somebody do this on Facebook to somebody the other day. I remember getting it from my family and friends. Somehow they think it's easy. But you all know it isn't, is it? To be with one's own self, without distraction. It's hard. But it is the greatest thing you can do for the world. This isn't an exaggeration or poetry, it's just an absolute fact. So many still don't know this because they're still washing about in foolishness. There's something that used to happen to me when I would come back from an ashram into the world. There's always some turbulence, sometimes literal. I know that returning from Yogaville Ashram, going to Washington, D.C., about 35 to 40 minutes outside of D.C., all of a sudden, it shifted very quickly. It's like all of a sudden the water becomes brackish. I remember talking to my children about it, and they said, well, we don't experience that. I said, no, because you're living in it. There's no contrast for you. So you couldn't know. It's not a problem, and there's no shame in it. We've been saying a lot lately, you are what you eat. You have become what you have eaten. It's called karma. The action of contact of senses with sense objects, a superimposition, cause and effect, karma. And then this is what we share. This is what we have to offer. And the same is true for all of the people that we interact with. What is it they're offering you? I remember, Perviz, I was walking with you in Dayton over the bridge, and we were talking about this in sort of an irreverent way. And I remember saying, you have to be careful who you we with. Because this we is a soup, and we're porous. And so when we're around anxiety, it can invoke anxiousness in us. Now, be assured that in time you'll gain some mastery over your own vibration, your own porousness. But while we're still porous, while we still get sucked in, we should be discerning. Love and serve everywhere. But maybe don't stay too long. So that's the other side of it, is the first side is the greatest thing that you can do for yourself and truly for the entirety of humanity. The planet, and Swami Satchidananda would even say the entire universe. The most important work that you have for you is to reclaim your peace of mind and the love in your heart. And while you're on your way, be discerning about what you engage in and who you engage with and in what way. Because this experience is much more shared than most of you have any idea. So it matters to you. What you spend your time on, who you spend your time with, where you focus your attention. It matters greatly. In the Course of Miracle, it says, there are no private thoughts. Matter-of-factly, there are no private thoughts. Any of you find this a little disconcerting? A little bit, right? I remember when I became aware of this certainty that there were great meditators in my presence who had developed the ability, whether they had peace of mind or not, honestly, sometimes there is a thing called a siddhi, a spiritual superpower, where even if your mind is still a foul or a clutter, one can still develop the ability to astral project and to read minds and be a nuisance in so many ways that they cause themselves so much trouble also. If you come across this, do not dabble. It's no good for you. But anyway, when I came across a certainty that others were sometimes even more conscious of my thought patterns than I was still, I felt a little exposed, a little naked, you know? Because by and large, I knew what I thought. Generally not things I wanted to share so much. But I was lucky. For me, I saw, well, I think what I think. and if they can read minds, that's their problem, not mine. I make no apology for my ignorance. But it does introduce something nice, which is for me, for each of us, to know that if there is no privacy, we can also become more alert to the patterns of our own thinking. Be careful not to slip into shame. That won't help. So I think probably within a matter of a week or two, I was unapologetically just me. What else could I be? How could I apologize for being what I am, even if it's so flawed? Yeah. It's worth saying here, if God wants it gone, God will remove it. If I had had the ability, I would have done it long ago, probably many lifetimes that I don't remember. Knowingly sign up for my suffering. We all have this experience, don't we? Maybe it's with a parent or a child. We've all heard about twins having this experience. It's very common in guru-disciple relationships, both ways. Isn't it? This intimacy that I talk about on the other side of renunciation is a we-ness. Intimacy is we, isn't it? The emperor has never had any clothes. Has always been naked. What do you think it means, Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden? What do you think it means? Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden with their fig leaf. That hiding is ridiculous. It's absurd. Maybe we can hide for each other. The blind can hide from the blind. But nobody can hide from the one who sees. No. It's a folly. The point is that we know this intuitively, all of us, we know it. And somehow, we're looking the other way, pretending it's not happening. It will dawn on you. There is no place to hide. There's no quarter. Nowhere to run. At first, maybe this feels a bit disturbing when we still feel fragile and vulnerable, still feel the need to privacy, to hiding. Oh, I remember now. Years ago in my contemplation of this, on the couch in Bethesda, so many years there. Alethea sat with me there. Yeah. It was revealed that hiding itself is the seed of fear, not the other way around. It was said in this way, in that voice, hiding creates the fear that creates the monster, that creates the wall that you are hiding behind. Completely inverted to how we think it is. But we know this also, right? What is a predator attracted to? A shark, a lion? What is it attracted to? Fear, right? This is why a master can pet a tiger. Hiding creates the fear that creates the monster, that creates the wall that you're hiding behind. But the monster seems so real. What do you think it means, David and Goliath? Harry and Voldemort. Also, something really magnificent. When you are completely revealed, when you are totally open to be seen completely, not hiding, in that moment, you will see God. And it won't matter where you look. I really have been liking to say this. This is not poetry. This is a matter of fact in your direct experience. when you are in complete surrender, completely exposed, revealed, not hiding, not protecting, not promoting some aspect, some version of you, and not defending some version of you. When you are completely exposed, you will see God. It's my promise. The hiding itself, this running for privacy and creating facades and veneers, building fences and walls, it's not necessary. Seems necessary, doesn't it? It really does. It's not. It's a lie concocted by your own mind. And the only problem in this lie is that you believe it. The stories are so persistent and so loud about you and the world, you know? And as always, we have to be honest. On the other side, when I feel vulnerable, I must create boundaries and defend them. Back in the paradox. But this we know. You can hear this anywhere you go. It's psychology, and it's good. But this is better. Can you imagine that it's true? That the hiding, the fear itself is the seed of all the suffering? When you see it for what it is, and that you can either chase it down faster or run from it to avoid it, and that hiding is absurd, then you will sit under a tree and the whole universe will come at you. And then you'll become the whole universe. This is the story of Gautama Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree. It'll be your story also. When? Have you already seen it? Have you seen that hiding doesn't work? Have you already seen it, that fear invites attack? A match made in cause and effect. And it's so powerful and so persistent. It's not like you can just be done with it. Would it be interesting for you to just go make a list, even if just your mind, make a list of all the ways that you hide? Would it be useful to see what it is you protect? See the specific, the specific aspects of your fear. To be precise, surgical. I'm sure there's both nothing and much more to be said about that, so I'll stop. What do you think? Where does that leave you? What does that mean? Is it disturbing to hear? Encouraging? Is it maybe true, or am I totally full of it? Or both? Because, it's one thing to explore these things in contemplation, and helpful. But you see, it's essential. If it's true, what will you do? If you don't know if it's true or not, what will you do to find out? Because there's another satsang on Monday. If it's true, what will you do? What am I willing to risk to find out? Yeah. What am I willing to risk to find out? That's a great question. Obviously, you've done this before. Yeah. Some other subtle things that I think are important to know is in the process of awakening, you will become increasingly aware of what's happening vibrationally and even content of thought around you. This will happen. If you're disturbed by it, then you're not ready for it. This is important. If you think that you now have something to do as a result of what you think you know, you've missed the mark. There is really only one way to be in great awareness, and that is in total acceptance. And if there's disturbance in you, in what it is that you're perceiving, it means that you're still perceiving through your own past and not aware of it. And so you're not seeing clearly. It's important to know this. And also important for you to know that this is how others are misusing their sensitivities. Anything short of equanimity, anything smelling of I'm right, is a problem for you. And the emptier you become, the more people will be able to project on you. The emptier somebody else becomes around you, the more that you will simply be projecting on them. The awakened one, the Buddha, is empty and a mirror. Sometimes people don't like what they see. Or sometimes people really like what they see. So this is true about you, and it is true of you. This is one of the real perils, I think, of yoga, especially of pranayama. And cities are an obstacle. Especially if you use them. This is very important to know. If it doesn't apply to you today, it will apply to you one day. Anyone who's using these to snoop around or to influence, no bueno. Not good. There are repercussions for this. And it doesn't matter if you're wearing orange robes or black ones. If it is not love, it is not worthy of your attention. Know this, outgoing and incoming. Know this for your own sense of sovereignty, autonomy, confidence, quiet, humble confidence, that whatever anybody says about you says more about them than it does about you. But that they did say it to you, you had better listen. Because at the very least, it belongs to your karma, to your past. And now it's an opportunity for you to transcend, to become debt-free, karmically. And similarly, whatever you say about anybody else, What you say about anyone is also tainted by you. That's why slander and gossip and rumor are so damaging to the ones who engage in it. It's bad. Nobody knows. It's kind of the currency in the culture, isn't it? In these moments, if you're somehow identified as the thinker of your thoughts, don't be apologetic. Certainly don't be ashamed. You think what you think. It's not a problem, truly. It doesn't say anything about you. This isn't a criticism. This isn't a call to action. This is simply saying, you don't have to believe it. You no longer have to believe it. And when that's true for you, honestly true, this is what's called freedom. Don't be ashamed of what you think. Don't be ashamed of what you have said or done. But be resolved to reclaim your speech and to reclaim your action and to create a distance with your own thoughts so that you don't believe them. Would you be really shocked at this point to hear, by and large, your thoughts are lying to you? Which ought to be very good news, because if you're anything like I was, they're not very kind to you. They're not very kind to others. So what I'm saying is good news. Take it as such. You really don't control what you think. What you think is what you have thought. They're waves of bouncing off a distant shore. What could you do to stop a wave? The only thing you can do is stop splashing, isn't it? If you curse your thoughts, you're creating more thoughts. You're splashing. Just let it be. You think what you think. Nothing for you to do other than just create some space. See, experience for yourself. I'm not the thinker. I'm aware of thinking. It doesn't say anything about me. What can you say about awareness anyway? This is not condemnation. Some of us hear it that way, though, don't we? It's been said to us so many times as condemnation, oftentimes from a pulpit, standing in front of God or deity. It's just their misunderstanding also. Can you see it? Can you see how this is really very good news? If your thoughts are such that they don't belong to you, should be a great relief. That you can't do anything about it also should give you great rest. How many times have we said to ourselves, pull it together? Get it together. Not possible. Sure, there are these practices of silver lining, pratipakshapavana, or just be done. Thinking happens. So we make a bumper sticker. Do you abuse yourself because you can't stop it from raining? Can't stop the boat from rocking when you're fishing? Out of your control. When you take to this posture with your own thoughts, time will speed up. Not always very pleasant at first, but good. Are you ready to be done with it? Really? Now? This is something more than just some contemplation to pass the time on a Friday morning. Are you ready? Truly, if not, no big deal. There's no shame in that either. What will come to you regardless of how you try to avoid it. What's yours is what's yours. And whatever you chase that doesn't belong to you, you will never catch it. Or if you're unlucky enough to catch it, it'll give you a big tussle before it escapes again. Won't it? Yeah. Nothing to promote of your own self. Nothing to defend. Promotion and defense of identity is doubling down on suffering. Nothing to promote. No need to say another word about yourself. And there's nothing to hide from. Nothing to chase, nothing to run from, nothing to hide from. The end of fight, flight, freeze. Also, we had a game in kindergarten or first grade, second, I don't know, young. Run, catch, kiss. It was a game we played on the playground. End of that too. End of tic-tac-toe. Whatever belongs to you will come to you. Receive it. Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. Whatever goes will go. Release it. And if you're really being masterful, as you release it, let it take the you that might cling to it with it when it goes. It'll hurt a little bit, probably.
Can I offer something?
Please.
This is so profoundly comforting because I had spent many months trying to control my thoughts, right? Like I could just challenge them, and my housemate noticed that I was tense in the body all the time. I was at war, okay? And then I thought, and it came to me that I started laughing, like, oh, that was silly. And then it just added a lighter energy to it, and it's just something that popped up. I go, ha, that's silly. And then I just go right back to the beloved.
Yeah.
And then it helped everything lighten up. But this idea I just clung to, that I could control my thoughts and they would disappear. It's so counterintuitive, but man, it was manifest in the body, in the facial expressions, in the clench of my hands as I held them tight, controlling, and I gave that up, and to have you speak to confirming that experience, that they're just going to arise, no biggie.
No biggie.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's really wild when we can come to appreciate and even laugh at the pattern of the suffering. It's very powerful. If you can laugh at the horrible things you think, you're getting very close to being free. There's this great scene in one of the Harry Potter books, and the students are asked to face their fears with what's called the ridiculous spell. And so they cast a spell that turned the fearful into the absurd. And there's a lot in Harry Potter that tells us how to navigate the world that we might call magic, but is really just kind of subtle. I remember one day I was meditating in Swami Satchidananda's Samadhi shrine, Chidambaram, and this really powerful, dark spirit came right up to my face, like that. And I just started giggling. I don't even know how I did or why, but I just started giggling and saying, wow, that's so bold to be here with me and Swami Satchidananda in this space like that. And it vanished instantly. Phew, gone. It works. If we can cultivate the ability to laugh at ourselves in a fun-loving way, with a lot of compassion and a love.
Nataraj.
Mm.
How is oponopono not splashing?
Oh, wow, what a wonderful question. How is prayer not splashing? Splashing is attraction and aversion. A wave is coming for you, and in aversion, you will either try and push it away, or you will try and run from it. Either way, you're creating more waves, yes? Same thing with attraction. If you lunge for a wave, it will create a wave, right? This the yogis call raga dvesha. And the sages say that this is the cause of all suffering. Fear and desire, attraction and aversion. When one comes to the recognition of the cause of suffering, the waves, and that one's part, culpability in wave making, and in the recognition that there's nothing you can do. Because what can you do to stop the waves? And in that moment, you will feel buffeted, helpless. And prayer, a sincere prayer in the full recognition of your helplessness, the total recognition of no negotiation, just total surrender, not comfortable. This prayer is very powerful. Because in the waves and the sense of helplessness and the peril, the vulnerability, the fragility, that prayer invites the one who walks on water. Do you see it? So Ho'oponopono is so beautiful. I want to do a satsang on this. Let's do a satsang on Ho'oponopono on Monday. Can we do this? Ho'oponopono is a recognition that non-forgiveness causes me great suffering. That judgment, resentment are destroying me. I once heard somebody say, resentment is like drinking a poison and expecting you to die. Resentment is like me drinking poison and expecting you to die. When you come to the full, honest recognition of this, Ho'oponopono will be your great friend. And I developed a very intimate relationship with it. I was very skeptical at first, but developed a very intimate relationship with an intelligence, a goddess even, as I would say, called Ho'oponopono. It changed my life. You know, the first time I even heard of Ho'oponopono was the first time I met Alethea. No, also, you can remind me, please, on Monday. I'd like to tell that story too. But prayer is a sincere recognition, taking it to action, taking it onto the tongue and onto the knees. Please help. This kind of prayer is different than praying for health, wealth, reputation, worldly success, spiritual success even. This is not that. For you, these prayers are no longer. Let the world have these prayers, it's fine. You be for freedom. You know, so many Hindus come to priests and pujaris. They do elaborate pujas for wealth and success and children and health. It's fine. You pray for freedom, and this is what Ho'oponopono is. It's not a strategy for popularity. This kind of prayer, we lean into our deep humility. this is where we will find immense gratitude and joy. What a world, what a life. I feel so blessed to share this with you, this space. I'm so appreciative. Okay. Haribol.
Thank you, Nataraj.
Love you, love you.